stand up.
No!
There are people in our community who are being taken and are being hassled by ICE. Rapid Response Network is a community defense program where we support the legal rights of people in this country, of people in our city. And we provide training for people who can help to support their rights. And so I need you to stand up. There's a crew over there with Kathleen and the folks from Sacred Heart and Surge who have cards with a phone number on it. This is phone number that immigrants who are in danger and there is an immediate immigration problem can call where they can get help. And we'll talk about what happens for that in a minute, but it's important that you take these cards, get some cards from Kathleen, give them to your friends in vulnerable immigrant communities. That's step one. That's where we need you to stand up. Next, I need you to show up. First, August 17th is our next training. We have a training where you can learn to be a rapid responder. It's a fascinating program where you can get a text, you can be in a system where you can get a text message, it'll tell you where the immigration action is happening, and then we will train you on how to become a legal observer. Now, why do we need to do that? Do you know that 99% of the time that when ICE comes with a warrant, they have an extrajudicial warrant? What's an extrajudicial warrant? It's like jumbo shrimp or fat-free half and half. It's a contradiction. If it's not signed by a judge, it's not a warrant. What can you do? So, we will teach you how to be a legal responder, how to take contemporaneous notes, how to videotape, how to manage crowds. That's August 17th. Rapid Response Network, Google it, it's at Sacred Heart, or talk to Kathleen and her crew with the Surge, Stand Up for Racial Justice, with the Surge t-shirts over here. So that's the second thing. I wanted you to stand up, I wanted you to show up, and now I need you to sign up. We can also sign you up if you can't make the 17th. It's important that you at least sign up, and we will organize another training. So I can see from Heather that my time is up. And so I just want to say thank you, but please help us out with Rapid Response Network. Si se puede. Si se puede. Si se puede.
Now we're going to hear from the Freedom Strummers.
Hi, we're the Freedom Strummers, and you may have seen us at other marches, and we've made it a career now, it seems. Since the president took office. We're going to sing this little song for you, and we'd like you to join in with us. Many of you know it, but we've changed the words a bit, and I'll shout them out before we go to the new verses. This little light of mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
you, Freedom Strummers. And wants to be sure that we are seeing that creation as well, whether it's here or at the border or in between. So let's welcome Rebecca.
That song made me think of camp meetings. So to continue the revival, countless converts since 2016, people of faith and no faith have been left utterly speechless by the cruelty and inhumanity.
My parents brought me here to make a better life for myself, and they feel like it's important to take those values and hold those true, and also to remind people of the indigenous land that we stand on as an indigenous person. I think it's important to really understand the systems of government and different ways that we had that were inclusive, that were intersectional, and that valued human life. And so for me, it's really important to remind people that if we don't do something, we're going to continue to live in a racist society. And we need to really concentrate on liberation and valuing all life. You know, so we just come here and give our support. That's so much. We don't want to be can find Here, my voice crack right there.
I don't know, I just got really
No one else is going to do it. No one else is going to change it. As it was and is and always will be. Love is up to us.
Amen.
And if you think Rebecca preaches like a rock star, like the rest of the congregation does, 10 o'clock Sunday morning. Village Glen United Methodist, corner of Minnesota and Newport. Okay, another song from the Freedom Strummers.
Freedom. Strummers, because we believe in freedom, and many people do not have freedom these days in this country. So this song is a song written by Pete Seeger, for those of you who have been around that long. We're still singing it, and it's called Oh Freedom. Again, when we change the verses, I will shout out the words.
Free the children, free the children, free the children in our land. And before we give up our rights, we'll rise up to be heard and be sure we continue to be free. Children need parents. Children need their parents. Children need their parents. Children need their parents in our lives. And before we give up our rights, we'll rise up to be heard and be sure we continue to be free. Cages aren't the answer. Cages aren't the answer. Cages aren't the answer. Cages aren't the answer in this life. And before we give up our rights, we'll rise up to be heard and be sure we continue to be free. We're a country of immigrants. We're a country of immigrants. We're a country of immigrants. We're a country of immigrants in our land. And before we give up our rights, we'll rise up to be heard and be sure we continue to be free. We are all united. We are all united. We are all united. We are all united in our land. And before we give up our rights, we'll rise up to be heard and be sure we continue to be free. We'll keep on marching. We'll keep on marching. We'll keep on marching. We'll keep on marching in our land. And before we give up our rights, we'll rise up to be heard and be sure we continue to be free. Oh, freedom, everyone! Oh, freedom! Oh, freedom in our land. And before we give up our rights, we'll rise up to be heard and be sure we continue to be free. And be sure we continue to be free.
Alright, so now we're going to hear from Karina Guzman, who is here. We turned it off. We're going to hear from Karina Guzman, who is here from Siren. She's one of their organizers here in San Jose, doing amazing work, and we want to hear more about it.
Mi nombre es Karina Guzmán y soy una organizadora con Siren. Hi, my name is Katiuska and I'm a community organizing consultant with Siren, but I'm going to be translating. Bueno, muy buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Karina Guzmán y soy una líder con Siren y una emigrante que ha vivido en este país por más de 15 años y vine a los Estados Unidos con la meta de tener mejores oportunidades para mi familia. Establecí una vida en este país y tengo un niño americano y 2 hijos soñadores beneficiados de DACA. Como muchas familias inmigrantes, hemos luchado mucho para salir adelante y varios de nuestros funcionarios electos necesitan entender cuáles son las razones por las cuales nosotros migramos. Las personas huyen de la violencia indescriptible y de la pobreza en sus países de origen para crear una vida mejor para sus familias. Al igual que yo, como las personas, abandonamos nuestro único lugar que alguna vez habíamos nosotros conocido. Lo hacemos por la seguridad de nuestras familias. Ahora, antes de terminar mi discurso, les quiero pedir que se tomen un momento para elevar las vidas de las personas que han fallecido en manos de ICE. Cuando diga el nombre de las personas, les pido por favor que digan presente. María Juárez. Presente. María Juárez, Roxana Hernández Rodríguez. Presente.
Ella, una mujer transgénero de Honduras que fue golpeada y falleció días después en un centro de detención de ICE. María Juárez, presente. Una niña de 19 meses que murió semanas después de salir de un centro de detención. Claudia Patricia Gómez, presente. Una joven de 20 años guatemalteca que recibió un disparo por la patrulla fronteriza en California. Jacqueline Caal Maquín, presente. Una niña guatemalteca de 7 años que murió de deshidratación y agotamiento bajo la custodia de la patrulla fronteriza 3 días antes de su cumpleaños. Joana Medina León, presente, quien murió en un hospital de Texas después de semanas de salir de un centro de custodia de ICE. Todos los migrantes y refugiados que han muerto a causa de la violencia de la migra, todos presentes, presentes y presentes. Hoy estamos aquí para demandarle al gobierno americano que cierre los centros de concentración donde tiene a los niños y adultos migrantes. Los centros de detenciones en condiciones inhumanas. Los niños son separados de sus padres, forzados a dormir en el piso de concreto. No les dan alimento, no tienen servicios médicos. Los encierran con miles de personas, causando muchas enfermedades y dolor. Haremos lo necesario para reunificar a nuestras familias y luchar por los derechos de los migrantes. No más migren nuestras comunidades. Y yo sé que juntos vamos a ganar esta batalla, porque sí se puede, ¿verdad que sí? ¡Sí se puede! Muchas gracias.
I'm an immigrant who's lived in this country for over 15 years. I established a life in this country, and I have one son that is a U.S. citizen and two two children that are dreamers that have DACA. Like many immigrant families, we have got really hard to stay ahead. Several of our elected officials need to understand why people migrate in the first place. People flee indescribable violence and poverty in their home countries to create a better life for their families. Like me, people leave the only place they ever know. They do this for the safety of their families. Before finishing my speech, I want to take a moment to elevate the life of people that have died because of the violence, because of ICE violence. When I say their name, I ask you to please say presente. Roxana Hernandez Rodriguez. Presente. A transgender woman from Honduras who was beaten and died a few days later in ICE custody. Marie Juárez. Presente. A 19-month-old girl who died weeks after leaving a detention center. Claudia Patricia Gómez. Presente. A 20-year-old girl from Guatemala who was shot by California Border Patrol. Jacqueline Caal Maquín. Presente. And a 7-year-old Guatemalan girl who died of dehydration in the custody of Border Patrol 3 days before her birthday. Joana Medina León. Presente. Who died in a Texas hospital weeks after getting out of ICE custody. All immigrants and refugees that have died because of the violence of ICE. Presente. Today we're here to demand that the American government close the concentration camps where they're putting immigrants, children, and adults. Detention centers have inhumane conditions. Children are separated from their parents. They're forced to sleep on concrete floors. They're not giving them food or medical services. They're locking them up with thousands of people, causing many illnesses and pain. We will do what's necessary to reunify families and fight for immigrant rights. No more ICE in our communities. I know that together we can win. Sí se puede. Sí se puede.
All right, so he's promised that he's not going to get too radical on us, but push us a little to the limits. Rich Hobbs is an immigration lawyer working in this field day in, day out, also the executive director of the Human Agenda and a board member of the San Jose Peace and Justice Center. So we heard from Sherrod earlier, and Rich is here to tell us more about that side of the story.
I Our immigration system, as you all know, is completely shattered since over 30 years ago. The last immigration reform that we had, the Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986, was for people who entered the country before 1982. So we have gone 38 years without anybody having the possibility of legalizing their status. That was bad enough. It was bad enough when under Obama we had more deportations than all of the presidents before him combined. And now we are confronted with a Republican president whose goal is to end the lives of immigrants in our country. We know that under Donald Trump, he has ended temporary protected status for Salvadorans, for Hondurans, and for Nicaraguans. And all of these people will be potentially deported after January of this coming year. We also know that there are 700,000 people who have DACA in the United States of America. And we know that Donald Trump is attempting to end that program, and the Supreme Court will be hearing that program early next year. Between TPS and DACA, we have the potential of 1 million individuals who all deserve to be here in the United States of America, who will be subject to deportation. I recently attended the National Conference of Immigration Lawyers, and as I got there, I learned that Donald Trump would be having his kickoff rally for re-election in Orlando 2 days after I arrived. So luckily, I was able to participate in the first protest against Donald Trump. I can tell you this, that denial rates under Donald Trump for non-immigrant visas have gone up exponentially. In 2018, there were more than 13,000 denials of green cards based on public charge. All international offices that are similar to the USCIS office on Coleman in our county are going to be closed by March of 2020, starting with Ciudad Juarez and Bangkok. The travel ban is still in effect. The waiver approval rate is 5%, even less than the 6% protected. I-9 audits, where ICE goes into companies and audits to see if there are matches of the social security numbers with workers at the facility, are on the rise. To give you an idea, in 2007, there were 402 investigations, and today there are over 5,000 site investigations to try to force undocumented immigrants to lose their jobs every year. In Silicon Valley, the tech workers are also being denied their visas at an unprecedented rate. The denial rate for H-1B workers rose from 6% in 2015 to 32% this past year. And you may know that H-1Bs that are non-immigrant professional visas have been denied, not only denied, but also requested more evidence. Over 60% of the cases now for an H-1B visa require additional evidence, when before this was less than 10%. I just came from Morgan Hill. In Morgan Hill, we had 200 or more people protesting to close down the ICE office in Morgan Hill. So I'd like to end this by asking all of you to participate in a chant. Hey, hey, ho, ho, local ICE has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, local ICE has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, local ICE has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, local ICE has got to go. One more time. Hey, hey, ho, ho, local ICE has got to go.
This is one you could probably, if you've marched at all, you've heard us do this one.
land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. I hunt and ramble and follow my footsteps through the sparkling central or diamond deserts, and all around me a place was set proudly. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. The president's saying he'll give the order to build a wall and seal the border, but he forgets this nation was built on immigration. That's why this land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. One more time, and I want to hear all of you. This land is your land. This land is my land. From the California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
That should guide our path. Hopefully we'll keep on singing them and living them when we leave this place. I'd like to introduce Nishta Jolly, who's an attorney who works with survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. She fights for social justice in any way she can, and she's here to share with us the story of trauma that is being experienced.
My name is Nishta Jolly. I'm an
I hear you.
Can you guys hear me?
No.
Closer? Yes. Sorry, I don't want to have feedback. I'm an immigrant myself. I'm an attorney. I work with survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. What I've learned through my work is that violence is not limited to a physical act. It comes in many forms. It comes in the form of an ICE agent taking away your blankets and mattresses if you lose a lice comb. It comes in the form of refusing to allow you basic necessities like a shower. It comes in the form of telling you to drink out of the toilet. And it comes in the form of ripping you apart from your family members. What I've also learned is that exposure to violence has lifelong consequences. The trauma and the violence that we are forcing on people in these concentration camps, on the children in these concentration camps, is severe, and it's likely to have lifelong consequences for them. I want to take a minute here to remind everyone that we are only focusing on the trauma that women and children and families are facing once they've already come to our borders. We are not even addressing the trauma that people face, which led them to decide to leave their country in the first place. As they made the journey to our border. We are essentially traumatizing and already traumatized people. Instead of showing care and compassion, we are brutalizing them. Instead of providing sanctuary and refuge, we are dehumanizing them. I refuse to sit back and be passive as we become a country that values human beings only by the papers they hold. We are more than the papers we hold.
president of Father John Panega with Catholic Charities. He's here to sing for us a little bit.
Well, I'm Trujillo. I'm glad, I'm happy to be part of this beautiful community. We represent my wife Patricia. We represent Grupo Solidaridad, Solidarity Group, with Father John Pedigo. I was dead. I told Father John every time I have chance, Father John, I was dead. And thank God for that beautiful experiment to go after the community. I'm here, poet for this beautiful and precious city. That means you. I love you people. I love you, San Jose. Well, I know this is amazing to see you all here and saying enough is enough. Never again is now. Well, I write a song for you. What it represents really me being you and you being me, be part of solidarity. My wife is gonna read the poem version in English so you can understand, and I'm gonna sing this song, which is for you, for nobody else but you. I love you, really, I love you.
San Jose, how not to love you when you are on my skin, tattooed in my soul, deep in my inner self. My poem and song I dedicate to you. My people is community sweet as honey and delightful to taste. Beautiful city that allows you to nest, diversity in creed, culture, and faith. Silicon Valley opens its heart to the world. Today, all of us declare that our dreams can come true if we work together as brothers and sisters in solidarity. Your bright can be seen as a shiny rainbow, filling up the hearts with hope of all of us. Of all of those who turn to see how, after a stormy day, you rise up and flourish out of nowhere. For that, I will remember when I find myself alone, that I am part of this beautiful being, a precious place. This is me, San Jose.
San José, cómo amarte si estás en mi piel, grabado en mi alma dentro de mi ser. Esta canción a ti dedicaré, mi gente es oportunidad dulce como la miel, ciudad preciosa que te abre su ser, diversidad en cultura, credo y fe. Silicon Valley hoy abre el corazón al mundo. Hoy declaramos que aquí se puede soñar, así alcanzar. Si todos luchamos juntos como hermanos en solidaridad, tu luz se ve. I'm sorry. Tu luz se ve, un arco iris después de llover, llenando de esperanza al que te ve, después de la tormenta florecer. Recordaré los momentos cuando solo esté. Parte de ese bello ser, la iglesia precioso así es mi San José. Silicon Valley hoy abre el corazón al mundo. Hoy declaramos que aquí se puede soñar, la cima alcanzar. Si todos luchamos juntos como hermanos en solidaridad, se puede soñar, la cima alcanzar. Si todos luchamos juntos como hermanos en solidaridad, si todos luchamos juntos como hermanos en
Wow, Tree, well, thank you for your vision and your poetry, and for continuing to push us to be everything that we can be as a community. I'm pleased to introduce Andrew Nguyen, who is a community organizer with Be It Unity South Bay. He works with impacted South and East Asian families who have received final orders of deportation, and works with them to take their power in their stories and to speak their truth.
My name is Andrew Nguyen, and I'm an organizer with Unity South Bay. As part of my community work, I accompany impacted individuals and families with final orders of deportation. In accompaniment, we help impacted community members take power in their own stories and ownership of their mistakes as youth in the school to prison pipeline. And as we teach our youth, these mistakes are the fertile ground in which formerly incarcerated community members learn the resilience needed to overcome adversity and find their power to speak out to change a broken system. You know, I will share the story of Duk, a father I accompany with final order of deportation. In the past year, I've gotten to know Duk more than just a criminal that the Trump administration paints him and other refugees and immigrants to be. I've gotten to know how deep his love runs for his wife, his stepson with Down syndrome, his daughter, and his family, his church, St. Maria Goretti, and his Vietnamese community. I've gotten to know his regret and sadness over his mistakes as a refugee youth thrown into gang violence, and how at the moment he was released and ready to take a second chance to rebuild his life, ICE was waiting for him. But most importantly, I've come to understand his drive to do right by supporting his family and the youth who are going through the same things he went through. ICE has been devastating Cambodian, Lao, and Vietnamese communities quietly for years. And because of the shame around incarceration and the model minority lie that dominates senses of the word grew up as Americans, we risk perpetuating the same cycle of trauma, oppression, and incarceration that our immigrant community has felt to the migrant youth at the border by letting these concentration camps exist. If we are to break this cycle, Vietnamese Americans must outwardly speak against the detention of migrants and inwardly address deportations in our own community. You know, as a tech worker myself, I recognize that I have the privilege and power to walk away from many of the issues we face here today. But my heart breaks when I think what would happen to Duk's family and his children if he were forcibly taken away and deported. My heart breaks when I hear about the inhumane conditions migrant children face in camps at the border. My heart cries when I think about the trauma we have forced on migrants and the futures we have robbed with this administration's heartless policies. Because so much of that trauma is reflected in our Southeast Asian history of migration. I choose to speak out and fight against deportation because I realize that my own liberation is tied to the liberation of migrants at the border. Because we are not free until we're all free.
For something a little different, Sharad is going to share a dance with us.
Okay, so I'm going to do what we call a dance of peace. And this dance of peace is with butterfly wings. And so this is the monarch butterfly. And the symbolism is that the monarch butterfly flies or it migrates thousands of miles over several generations. It migrates thousands of miles across borders from South America through Central America, through Mexico, to the US and back. And so this symbolizes the freedom of migration and immigration. Everyone should be free to live where they want to be.
Life was unkind, yet I was determined to press through the fog and the steam. So I dared to dream. Now the world clear as the day, nothing and no one can stand in my way. I am a vessel sailing through water upstream, and I dare to dream. In this new world I can be bold, show me adventure and I will grapple. I am a warrior, challenge me and I will scream, for I dare to dream. I'm unstoppable, my power I know I'll prevail. There's not a lake I can't cross, or wall I can't scale. Look at your world, the life that you lead. You have everything you want and need. Notice what's missing, then ponder a plan or a scheme. If you dare to dream.
What I want and I know what I need. I pray every day it comes true. But sadly this future is not up to me or to you.
You can't believe all the lies you've been told. You can't control your own fate. Listen to what I am saying before it's too late. Where is the force inside the man? What are his wishes and what is his plan? You'd be a hero, held in the highest esteem, if you dare to dream.
Day and night after night, I've lived under orders and stayed out of sight. Then suddenly you come and open my eyes, and now I can see past the veil of lies. I've longed to be looked at instead of looked through. The future is focused on you. I'll show you a world where I can be free, be everything we want to be. With this new promise, we'll be forever serene. If we dare to dream, we'll be remembered as history's promising team. Let's dare to dream.
Thank you, Sharad, for keeping that dream alive for us. Now we are pleased to have our State Assemblyman Ash Kira here to speak with us tonight and share
Thank you so much. I'm Ash Kira, and I'm honored to be your State Assembly member. And as I look around at this crowd, this is the reason why, and how lucky I feel that I'm in a community that has so many loving people that are willing to show up time and again. And when I think about it, over the last couple of years, how many marches and rallies you've been to and meetings and going online, just how many times that we've had to come together like this. And sometimes I think, man, I'm getting tired of having to do this all the time. But that's what they want us to think. They want us to get tired. They want us to go away. They want us to stop raising our voices. They want us to go back home and turn on the TV and not even think about what's happening. But we're not going to do that. We are not going to do that, and there are hundreds of groups like this around the country right now, standing with us. And more importantly, standing with those that are right now in horrifying conditions, being detained in our detention. They're ours, whether we support them or not. They have the American flag stamped to them, these detention camps. Not the America that we're proud of, but an America that all too often has arisen during the course of the history of this country. And during the course of the history of this country, even during the most despicable and difficult times, this is what has put us back on the right course. That's right. It's always the people. It's always the people. It's always the people. It's not the elected leaders. It's not the talking heads on TV. It's all of you. And we cannot stop. We cannot stop. I went down to the border and visited a family shelter where some of the families were staying. And thankfully, these were families that were in a family shelter, being well run, well taken care of, and they were actually dropped off there by ICE because they were awaiting further court proceedings. And this particular community center run by the Jewish American community taking very good care of these families. But then, as you see today, our vice president goes to a detention center, literally has hundreds of men caged